much of a mess you're making of this living room? What would Santa think if he saw this?
Sorry, Johnny. I'm looking for any spare change to send to 501 Broadway to help the Preds re-sign Forsberg.
Everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators defeat the Montreal Canadiens by a final score of 4-3 in overtime. They avoid this game going into the gimmick, and they exact a measure of revenge for their embarrassing loss in Montreal 2 weeks ago. As was pointed out if you were watching the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast on CBC, the last time the Habs won a game in regulation in Nashville was March 10th, 2003, when the Habs won by a final score of 3-1, and Jose Theodore and Thomas Whac-A-Kunin were minding the nets for these respective teams. If you can believe it, Preds Nation, this is the Preds' only Saturday night game for the entire month of December, as the next 2 Saturdays they're off, playing the following Sunday. Then it's Christmas, when every NHL team has the day off, and then before you know it, it'll be 2022. Preds get a power play right off the bat, but as would show in the rest of the game, the Preds would not be that successful on the special teams. Fortunately, just about 5 minutes into the first period, Whac-A-Kunin passes the puck back to Mattias Ekholm just inside the blue line, and he takes the shot on net. Ellie Tolvanen is there to tip it, and it goes past Jake Allen. 1-0 Preds. The "You Sucks" chant raining down from Preds Nation upon Jake Allen's ears. It brings back such fond memories of the 2017 Stanley Cup playoff run of this team. Preds would then be rewarded for their hard work with another power play opportunity, but just can't convert. Hopefully the Preds' early season success on the power play isn't going to their head. Montreal can't really generate any chances until the latter half of the first period, when they would be rewarded with their first power play of the game, but they can't get anything past Saros. The Preds finished the period only up 1-0, but with a lot better performance in this period than in the first 2 periods back in Montreal. Just before 2 minutes into the second period, Michael Pezzetti of the Habs takes a run at Matt Benning, and Benning's defensive partner, Borieski, comes to his defense, and he and Pezzetti get into a tussle that results in Borieski landing on top of Pezzetti. I do not know for the life of me why the majority of these leagues' tough guy try to get into a tussle with Borieski. You aren't going to end up on top of it motivating your team. Later, Alexander Carrier would get a holding the stick call, and the Habs, who have been struggling on offense as of late, would seem to get themselves going, as Suzuki would tie this game at 1. Almost halfway through the second period, Ekholm and Carrier are being lackadaisical on an icing call that they could have beaten Dvorak to it, but Dvorak gets it, and soon afterwards, he beats Saros. It's 2-1 Habs. Preds would challenge Christian Dvorak's goal for goalie interference, believing that he pushed Carrier into Saros, but the goal was upheld. It's 2-1 Habs. Later, the Preds' undisciplined play continues as they would get a delay of game penalty followed by a holding the stick penalty, resulting in Alexander Carrier going to the penalty box again, but fortunately the Preds kill both penalties off unscathed. Then, Borieski with some excellent stick work to prevent Jake Evans of the Habs from tapping home the 3-1 goal. Habs would then have a 2-on-1 when Suzuki would try to get the puck to Mike Hoffman, but Mattias Ekholm broke it up beautifully. Habs soon after that would get another 2-on-1, but the Preds defense played it beautifully and broke it up. This isn't a contest. Don't make it an art form to risk this continually, guys. Just about 2.5 left to go in the second period. Mattias Ekholm from just inside the blue line would take a shot on net, and with his stick off the ice below the crossbar, Montreal would tip it, and it would go past Jake Allen, tying this game at 2. Montreal would contest that it was above the crossbar, and Hockey Night in Canada tried to proclaim it was as well, but the replay clearly showed it was below the crossbar. Good goal, 2-2. Late in the second period, off of a bad Habs line change, the Preds have a great chance to take the lead, but aren't able to capitalize, but do draw a penalty for their efforts that will carry over to the third period. Preds were unable to capitalize on that power play that carried over from the second period. Broken play in the Habs zone that the Preds are unable to capitalize leads to a rush going the other way, and the Habs make it 3-2 on a goal by Kulak. Props to Kulak to get open like that and score into the net, but Saros has got to have that one, especially in a game like this that is so close. Thank God it's not a conference opponent. Kunin dishes out a hit to Armia, and then the recent Habs goal scorer, Kulak and Kunin, get into a tussle. Preds finally start to find their second win and start creating some high danger scoring chances that could result in goals. Just under halfway through the third period, scramble in front of Allen's crease. Whack, whack, whack away, birthday boy Whac-A-Kunin, celebrating his 24th birthday, whacks it home. This game is tied at 3. Whac-A-Kunin with the rare Gordie Howe hat trick of a goal, an assist, and a fight. Preds would get another power play, a power play that unfortunately went 0 for 5 as the Habs got caught with too many men on the ice, and despite some solid looks, just couldn't convert tonight. As the game hits about 5 minutes left to go in regulation, the Preds are out shooting the Habs by almost a 2-1 margin. Lehkonen gets a clear-cut breakaway on Saros, but Saros shuts the door just in time as Yossi and Carrier race back to help out Juice. Granlund would fight in the last minute or so of the game to try and beat Allen all on his own. He probably held on to the puck too long, but the other thing he could have done was he could have set up the man of the night from Tuesday night, Filip Forsberg, and probably could have scored, but he just had a flair for the dramatics that would come a little bit later. After 60 minutes, this game is tied. The Habs are very lucky to be getting a point out of this one, as the Preds were out shoot the Habs 17-2 in the third. 45 seconds into the extra frame, Granlund from an awkward angle can't beat Jake Allen. After the ensuing faceoff right after Granlund's shot, Mike Hoffman somehow ends up with the puck and he goes on a breakaway on Saros, but Saros doesn't give him anything to shoot at. Caulfield has a chance with about 3.5 left in overtime, but Saros sticks out the left pad and keeps the game tied. Again, off of a faceoff in the Habs zone, it's Tyler Toffoli who quickly gets the puck and takes a shot on Saros, but Saros turns it aside again. Then it's Roman Josi who gets it across to Philip Tomasino, and Jake Allen, with one of his best saves of overtime, keeps the puck out. Just when it looked like this game might go to overtime, the man with the golden stick from Tuesday with 4 goals shows he still has something left to give to this team. Forsberg would have his stick knocked out of his hands as the Preds are buzzing in the Habs zone, and he would go to retrieve it. Well, Mikael Granlund would take the puck and drive behind Jake Allen and would get Ben Sherratt and Mike Hoffman to focus solely on him, forgetting all about the man that he would pass the puck cross ice to. Oh, but Jake Allen knew he was there. Number 9, Phil Forsberg, but he was all alone as he stretched to his right, giving Forsberg all day, but he wouldn't take all day to look at the top of the net as Forsberg would rip it home. 4-3, Preds win in overtime. It wasn't easy, but the Preds got the 2 points just in the nick of time before the game would go to the shootout, and a win would have meant less in the standings. This is a talented Habs team. Let's not get them wrong. They've just underachieved, so props to them for getting it to extra time and getting a point out of their effort. Second straight game where the Preds would outshoot their opponent, so props to them in this game for actually getting the W. And what more can be said about one Filip Forsberg? Thanks to Nashville PR for this stat. With that overtime winner, that is Forsberg's 8th overtime winner in Nashville Predators franchise history. He passes Shea Weber, who had 7 in a Preds uniform, and now Forsberg only trails David Legwand, who had 9. 6 goals in as many games now for Forsberg since returning from his injury. One thing or another is going to happen by this season's trade deadline. Either Forsberg is going to get paid handsomely for his effort and for his time being a member of the Preds, or the Preds are going to get a long, big haul for him when they trade him. I do not think the third option of doing nothing will or should happen. If one of the former two do happen, I do still think Preds fans should feel satisfied. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption. 3 weeks until Christmas, Preds Nation. Perhaps Forsberg will indeed get that extension as an early Christmas present to us all.